Today is a pretty scary, treacherous day, but that's going to really match what we're doing. And treacherous by meaning I'm gonna do something I've never done before. Yeah, so we are gonna be taking our young Frankenstein castle, or as I should say, Castle Frankenstein, with Frau Blucher living, in this little house right here. And we are gonna be placing it on top of a treacherous looking cliff. And it's got to look treacherous because it's got to scare off those pitchfork waving people, the townsfolk. And then all of this is going to be combined and integrated into our faux cathedral window that acts as a lightning detector. I know that's a lot, but it's all going to come together, I promise. I'm Rachel DeBarros, and thanks for watching Gearhead Diva. So I see some of you guys rolling in, and you've had some amazing suggestions throughout the journey of this build. It kind of started innocently with, I'll get out of the way, right here, our cathedral window arch where we kind of bent PVC. We painted our Bob Ross, I'll give you a much better view here, our Bob Ross style stormy night sky, of which our Castle Frankenstein is going to sit like this. And now it's missing a cliff, but I've done a ton of work to this castle. It's still not done, but I figure it's done enough for us to be able to move on with this cliff business. So I'm gonna bring you all in just a little closer here and check that out. It's sitting right there. So you can see I've got the little bridge done and all of the rock formations. We have our little house over here, our main manor where Frau Blucher lives. And one of the fun conversations we had the last time was someone like a Dr. Frankenstein or Frankenstein doesn't really have time for laboratory maintenance or house maintenance. So wouldn't it be interesting to kind of make his tower more dilapidated? And this did two things. Number one, it's just cool looking and fits the story. But number two, it kind of hid the fact that we had some hideous looking seams going down the side here. And the reason for that is that I tried to follow this castle from the drawing here, and you can see the angles. They're not all quite 90 degrees. This is an artistic rendition of the castle. And so I tried to copy this, and the more that I did this, the castle started to kind of change dimension and look kind of weird and not sit flat against our piece. To follow that painting to the T, Castle Frankenstein actually needs to be tilted like this. Now imagine hanging this on a wall where this thing juts out, and I put it on the wall. God forbid I gotta pick something off the floor, I'm gonna hit my head on it. So I'm trying to keep this as squished as possible. And remember, we still have to add our lighting scenes to this, so we need room in the back for all that. So I figured it best to take some artistic liberties and change the castle up a little bit so it sits flatter. The main thing being to flip it down a little bit, and then let me give you guys another look here. If you look at the castle in the painting, this facade right here and this facade right here are always parallel. So the castle can lean this way or that way, but those facades stay parallel. Well, that's not the case in mine. So you can see that this has got a very horizontal facade, and this facade sits diagonally, and that helps us secure a lot of these seams, so that way when we add lighting, the lighting is just not going to start spilling out. Plus, the most important thing is if I were to match this facade with this one, that's going to pivot this bridge so that way it sits upright like this, and it's going to stick 5 inches up, and that's too much, So by turning this facade this other way, it makes the bridge kind of go off to the side, and that kind of helps conserve about 1 inch of thickness. So that's why I made that decision. So a few more things to do to Castle Frankenstein that I'll get done before the painting is obviously everything needs roofs. I used a couple toothpicks to mock up heights so we know where we want to position this in our piece right here. And I will back that away. So obviously we don't want him all up in the clouds. We need room for our lightning bolt. So maybe somewhere around here, a little off screen for you guys, but that'll allow us to do a very cool lightning bolt, either coming from here or coming from the moon. So I think that'll look really cool. And the most important thing that I got done before this is to make sure Castle Frankenstein sits flat. Before, when we only had some of the components, it rocked a little bit. It just didn't sit correctly. That way we can build the cliff around it. So in preparing for this cliff, I learned a couple things. So one of them is that my original idea was to mimic the artistic drawing. So you see that the bottom is not flat. It's kind of got this jagged thing that the cliff kind of comes up and meets it. And I thought that'll, I'll just build the cliff up. Not so easy. Probably what I should have done is take the longest line and extend everything out and then put the castle right on top of this foam. Because look at the mess that I created for myself. And you'll get what I'm talking about here. Well, here we have our castle Frankenstein, and I'll just kind of move him over here and put him up against the sky. Doesn't really matter for now. Well, this part right here is way higher than this part. So if I put it on here, well, we're missing a whole bunch of foam right here. And I obviously could build it up. We can take some pieces and kind of start creating a cliff that goes all the way, up. That's kind of complicated. So instead, I did something that's probably equally complicated, which is to carve kind of a hole for the castle in the back such that I can cover it. And now I know what you guys are thinking. It's like, you're covering the whole castle. What the heck? And so just laying it down, I think this is my idea. I think I'm going to carve away and reveal the castle. That way we have enough foam everywhere, and I don't have to sit there building up foam into these different areas, and then possibly it doesn't even match the rest of the cliff. So I'm going to start like this and see how it goes. I just kind of made things a bit more difficult for myself, but that's kind of how it goes around here. So if you guys have any carving ideas, post below. I know we talked about like paper mache, but I for whatever reason got a boost of bravery, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this first, and then if this doesn't work, then we'll just go. I'm gonna chicken out, and we're gonna go the paper mache route, or maybe I'll put a dome and glue some dirt or something on it. Yeah, we'll totally chicken out. But for now, I think we can do this. I think we got it. So let's see if I can carefully maneuver it just like that. And see how that is looking. And see if, again with the terrain, we don't want it to rock either. So as long as it sits pretty flat, I think we're okay. And I want to try and get it as close to this little bridge as possible. If I have to kind of build up just a little bit, that's not too bad. But that might be a little too high, maybe something like this. And I'll mark along the castle where this is. I want to make sure I got enough foam down here and enough foam here. And see, I only have to build up a little bit. And this is pretty, it's not really rocking. If I move it up a bit, it rocks more. But I can certainly shave more stuff off. But I think I'll go this route and then have to just build up a little bit. So I'm going to shift this castle up, even though it's hitting the clouds a little bit. I think that we get the idea, right? We get the idea. So let's see here. Making sure the castle is perfectly straight. And then I think I made this little template here for us to attempt to follow and see how it goes, guys. So the idea is to imagine that there's a road coming, and I'm gonna try and match this kind of railing here with this type of situation. And you can see where there's gonna be this mountain here, or this little cliff that sits above this cliff right here, and this is gonna crawl up to our manor a little bit. This is, obviously too high. With our castle Frankenstein kind of popping out here. So we're going to remove a lot of foam and then the rest of some of this mountain. So a lot to figure out, and we're just going to start, carving away and see how it happens. And then Kareth is here, Kareth Paka, but Kareth is here saying, yes, hello, they're building a castle, I see. Yes, we are. So we finished our castle Frankenstein from the Young Frankenstein movie, and we're trying to build a cliff for it. So it sits up there, and then hopefully it's looming enough that you know, people are too scared to come with their pitchforks. So I'm just trying to make the final decision on how high I want this foam, because we're going to be carving and revealing parts of the castle, and see how that works. So let's see how far I can shove this thing, because we want to minimize, this is the highest part of our mountain there. So I think something like this is good. And I'm going to mark on our castle the degree to where this is so we can do our test fittings. And I'm just going to mark in some of the areas here, especially our little bridge. And all of this is going to be painted anyway, so I'm not too worried about markings, and there goes my big old head in your way. It's like, I can't see. Move. All right. So I think I got everything sufficiently marked up. And before painting, I'll be sure to get all of these roofs done and all that, but I think this is sufficient for now. And then the objective here is to use this bridge to kind of, this is the little road we're going to be carving, kind of line things up. And I think that looks pretty lined up. And I think what I'm going to do now is score with a craft knife this whole thing out, guys. All right, so let's do it. Yeah. And Kareth is here saying, that's cool. Are we going to be done today? Well, hopefully, hopefully the goal is to have this, pretty carved out so that way we can paint it. I'll get the castle done on my own. I'll get everything prepped. And the next stream, we'll be painting this whole thing and making it look very realistic. So I'm going to just make my score marks here. And these will act as a guide as I'm carving. And this is my first time carving, just a block of foam like this. So we're going to see how this works out, people. Could be interesting, but I didn't want to cheat and practice ahead of time. I think we'll face palm together. Hopefully not too many face plants, but I can handle a face palm or two now and then. And so going down this road, and then I'll trace over where our score marks are, just to kind of give me a guide. And we're going to use some artistic liberties, knowing that our castle is not quite the same orientation as the one that we saw in the picture of the young Frankenstein castle. That, of course, is a painting, so you can get a lot more artistically creative with that. But when you have to build like a miniature in real life, sometimes the angles just don't correspond. As we found, things started to get a little wonky. Carving out this road, and I'll keep this template just as a next to us as a guide, so we can kind of refer to it. And I also have the Castle Frankenstein as a guide as well, just so we can keep an eye on whether or not we're getting the main components correct. And there we go. So this is kind of the part that goes up to the castle that lays behind this. So that'll be interesting, like how we make something go behind something. But I have faith. I think we'll figure it out. The craft knife is like fighting me. It's like, no! This is gonna go badly. It's trying to save me from the embarrassment, but I don't mind. Better to try it than to just kind of like sit there and watch other people do it and wish you could try, right? So they face plant too, by the way. They just don't show it. I show it. Oh, so we have a good chicken scratch looking thing. Let me bring you guys in to the show here, just to see what we got going on. And all I'm going to do is just mark it and see what's going on. So mark the lines. Well, that's kind of crooked. All right, so that's kind of like how our little mountain here is gonna go. You guys can see there, and I'm just gonna, whoop, moving them the wrong way. We're gonna try and copy this. And I see we got a couple YouTubers, but it looks like my third-party app is not grabbing their comments. So I'm gonna put you guys on a quick intermission for me to check it out. I'll be right back. I'm back. So there is a chance that my third-party app is not grabbing those YouTube comments. So if it looks like I'm not responding to you, jump onto Twitch and you can just search my name, Gearhead Diva, and you'll find me on there. And we're on there. Let me know. Let me know if that's the case. So where was I? There we go. I'm going to align this here. And then I'm going to remove the castle and we're going to start carving. And I'm just staring at it till I procrastinate because I'm kind of scared about this part. All right, I'm just gonna go like that and remove the castle and check this out. So in looking at this, and let me move this closer to you guys. And yeah, I'm kind of carving on top of our beautiful piece. I probably shouldn't be doing that, but it kind of helps me keep oriented as to where everything is. So hopefully I don't just, and go right through it. But this is a pretty thick block of wood. So the first thing I'm going to do is start to remove the negative space because this is kind of subtractive. So hopefully I won't remove too much negative space. And I found for me the best way to do this is using a very not overly serrated knife, but kind of serrated knife to chop through this really quick. I think the best way to do it, otherwise I have these like little craft knives and that's just going to take forever. But I think probably the best way to do this is using one of those X-Acto knives where you can extract a very long blade and then you can really get in there. But I don't have any one of those. So we're going to start with this and we're going to be digging out our little road here. And I'm going to be digging out this situation. But before we begin, I'm going to do one more look at our Castle Frankenstein. And you can see the little road on the right-hand side. But if you look at certain promotional posters of the time, the castle was actually flipped. So I believe it appears this way in the movies, but flipped on some of the promotions. And the cliff is also different. Some of the movie posters have just one kind of skinny tall cliff, whereas this is more of a mountain range. So, we're going to stick with this mountain range because it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to start carving near the bridge area, and you can see where Castle Frankenstein's tower is with that little light, and the manor house. I call it the central manor house there. Just to the right of it, there's some rubble piling up on it, and correspondingly over here, this is where we're going to cut that recess, and this is the rubble piling up to the castle. So we're just going to make like a little valley here and see what happens, right? So I'm just going to start to very lightly valley this out. And it's kind of interesting with the knife, we already start to get kind of a, you know, kind of a mountainish looking situation. And let's see. I'm trying like not to over carve. He puts my reference here just to kind of keep an eye on it. All right. I'm afraid to restart my third-party app because then sometimes it doesn't pick up any comments, and then you were stuck. All right, so this is looking pretty good. We're doing a little valley here, a happy little valley, as Bob Ross would say, and then happy valleys need more happy valleys. So we'll be sure to add friends. And this pretty much exposes our bridge here, and I'm going to keep these kind of frayed pieces because they make for really good, you know, like rocks, loose rocks that we can then use to cover up any gaps that we have in the end. So let me put this guy back and see where we are with all this, and I'm going to match it up to that black line there, and my big old head being in the way. Probably not helpful. There we go. So we can see that we got a ways to go, and I'm gonna mark for myself how deep we want to cut this because we got to reveal. We pretty much should cut it all the way down, I think, and just completely remove it, just about. And then we're gonna have to build up to this bridge I already see because there's a gap there. So let's go ahead and do that rather than just kind of shaving carefully along. It turns out to reveal the castle. We're just gonna have to remove it anyways. So here we go. Moving the castle out of the way, and we're just gonna start removing this. Whoop, there pops one. And start doing this, and now we're beginning to reveal our castle. And there we go. Actually, I didn't butcher that too bad. There we go. So we have kind of some rocky cliffs there covering our castle. So I'm not going to touch that anymore, but I'm definitely going to debulk this. Our poor little manor here is completely covered up. So let's reveal this manor here a bit. And I'm going to just not touch that part, but very much touch this part right here. And then we'll add the details. We're just kind of like block cutting for now. See what happens. And we're just gonna lay this back on top. And like the back of my head is like the star of the show this time. It's the star of the stream for this time around. Okay, and then I think what I'm gonna do, because this mountain here is behind this, we're gonna start to shave this off to maybe half its you know, width. Half its width. And I'm just going to peek another Castle Frankenstein here and see that little valley there then has to kind of, I'm just going to do some carves here. It just has to be very, very careful. Yeah. All right. All right. I think I'm going to work on this guy here because I don't want to touch this guy, and I know you guys can't see like what I am pointing at, but and then this has to kind of rubble up. So let's see here. Our castle has shifted just a little bit, but I think we'll be okay. actually open this road up a bit more. There we go. And let us continue. It's a little scary. I'm like, might as well double check a couple times, you know, so that way we're absolutely sure. And then I'm gonna start carving this guy out right here because this mountain is higher than this mountain. So we're gonna sink this guy in a little bit. So we're just gonna kind of bevel him out to start sinking him. And then hopefully I can remove a lot of this bulk. Getting to the side here. And hopefully I'm thinking about this the right way. You know, we'll see. But the toughest part is making that first cut. And we did it, people. We made that first cut. Now, after that first cut, that's where either the cheering or the regretting is going to start happening. So hopefully a lot more cheering than regretting. All right. And same thing. So I guess my objective is to kind of create like a hump here. So this end and this end are going to sink in lower than this end right here. As we leave this be the highest part. All right. And we're going to be referring to that Castle Frankenstein quite a bit, just to make sure it starts to get confusing once you start seeing everything in this way. So we're also going to be cutting our piece right about here. So I am just interested in from here on up for now, until we get all of the sizes right, and then I'll make that final cut. I'm leaving it on there in case we really mess up and I kind of need to move the entire project down. All right, so just seeing how much width I have here, you can see that I carved out a section for our Castle Frankenstein there. And now it would be helpful to have one of those X-Acto knives that stretch out really long, but this is actually not too bad, this knife. It moves nice and slow, you know, so you have time to correct course if you need to. But even using this knife, we're already getting kind of like rock formations, or rockular formations, and Frozen Mustache is saying measure twice, cut once. There we go. I need to listen to you a little bit more. I'm a very... sometimes, most of the time, don't even measure it. And don't doubt yourself, just cut. And then sometimes, yes, there are regrets. Actually, many times there are regrets. But I'm just leaving it purposely jagged because that's looking... So now we can see that this mountain here is beginning to be higher than this. But I'm going to keep going. I wish there was a tool to just scrape like that. There probably is. There probably is, and I just don't know about it. Because I tend to do things with just what's available. And sometimes that's a blunt old kitchen knife. I have also other... You know what? I should probably be using this giant one. It says like half Castle Frankenstein, young Frankenstein, and half like Psycho with the styrofoam. And that's like way blunt. Look at that. I am not eating steaks or chopping up vegetables or chopping up anything with that knife. But because it is blunt, it does add some nice chunks. Nice broken chunks. But we're not ready for you yet. I want to go back to my little trusty somewhat blunt, but has enough serration to keep us going here. And now that I have the basic shape of this guy going, we kind of have our indentation. I'm going to move on to this mountain over here. And I believe all this is going to come out, but I'm going to confirm that before I, start in with it. So let's take another look at our castle Frankenstein. As I reposition, let me keep all these little shards of foam because they're going to be great for just making little pieces, little rocks and things like that. Now, where does this thing go? I've lost how he goes. He goes like that. And not quite. He goes like that. So I'm just repositioning the castle where I had it marked onto our big block just to make sure that what I'm doing is making sense. So I have it all here and I'm looking at our castle Frankenstein. So I have our valley. This is the part that starts building up to the castle. So I am going to have to remove still quite a bit more for that. And then let's see here. Then we have this piece, which is, I'm going to remark here where I am. All this has to go right here to reveal our castle. And probably this. So maybe I wasn't right. I was right. It's very rare. It's very rare, people, but I was right this time. So I'm going to lay the castle on top of our thing here. And the castle eventually is going to be sitting like that on top of it all. So we can see that our little road is coming off and things are looking pretty good so far. So I'm going to start to remove this giant piece of negative space and see how that goes. And I think this has got to like totally come out, right? Let's see. Actually, no, because our rubble needs to meet our castle Frankenstein. So let me measure this once more. And there we go. I'm going to put him under. Looking pretty good, guys. There we go. And I'm going to cut like right about here. I think I'm going to make a a marking here where I think I need a cut. And right here. And then we'll have enough to kind of build that rubble up for Castle Frankenstein. Yes. I might go a little conservative and just kind of go up here for now. You know, people. All right, so I think all this needs to come out to reveal our Frankenstein tower. I keep calling it castle, but this is his tower right here. And here we go. Oh, I totally went past my mark. I went all the way. I'm gonna own it now. I'm gonna own it. See, and I measured and everything. It didn't help me that time. I'm gonna own it. We're gonna own this oops moment right here. Whoop. And that popped right off. Now I'm getting staticky. Static foam catcher. And I have this layered, as you can see, this is not just one solid block of foam. If you take a look, it's actually 4. And there is some gapping there. I tried to clamp everything down, but didn't quite work out. But we can always use a little bit of filler. I am not too worried about that. And let me continue just making our... And if you recall from the picture, there's like a lot of rubble going right up to the Frankenstein tower. So we might take a couple of these shard pieces and foam shards and just make a nice little rubble for it. And I'm trying to do this as parallel as possible. All right, so we're beginning to see kind of our mountain range that we're getting here, whether good, bad, or otherwise here, but it is coming to fruition. So I'm just going to thin this out a little bit because I do notice that it rides up on our nice Frau Blücher, you know, and I am giving her this central manner here because she just takes so much abuse in the movies. So I'm giving her the nice part of the castle there, so she can enjoy. Gives her a quiet space away from all the weird experiments. All right. All right, so just as a reminder, if you guys are watching on YouTube, just for giggles, try switching to Twitch and make comments because I think my third-party app is not catching YouTube comments this time. And I'm afraid to restart it because sometimes then you got to restart the stream, which means sometimes the URLs change. So I'm going to keep going with what I have. And there we go. So this is beginning to look good. We are revealing more of our situation here. I am not touching this because that going right up. Oh no. Oh, I got a little loose tooth here. I might give him a little bit of glue just to hold him together so he doesn't snap off. And we're beginning to reveal our castle Frankenstein right here as well. So the reveal is happening, and then I'm going to be taking, wow, this has got to come all the way down to reveal that little guy there, but we'll get to him, we'll get to him. And while this is sitting here, I'm going to make a couple more lines for myself. Let me check out our castle Frankenstein again, and this is the inner, our inner section right here. And yeah, we definitely want to reveal him, and we want to reveal this. So I'm going to reveal to right about here. Let's see what happens if I take this piece out. And you're always like, please don't let it be the wrong piece. And then everything just kind of like falls apart. I guess you can always glue foam back on, you know, even though this is a subtractive art. But I always never know, like, will the seam show? Will it look kind of funky? But I guess we can always cover that with spackle. I've been having really good luck with spackle. So that's nice. Our Castle Frankenstein here is beginning to show. And I'm going to continue shaving this area off right here. And we're getting some nice mountainous type of situations, and I'm just going to make a marking here, and I'm going to take this down to about here and see how it does, because this is going like way too high up onto our castle, you know. It has to be seen. We have some cool windows and all that, so let's do this. And let's see if I completely regret this here in a second. We're going to know. Ooh, something cracked. Oh, this whole piece, guys, is going to come off. And that's my whole thing. So hold on. Let me hot glue this. One moment. Let me plug in my hot glue gun and down. I'll be right back up. It's like, where did she go? She spontaneously combusted. And I'm back. All right, so let's see what's going on here and move a couple things out of the way so they don't get hot glue gunned. And let me put my hand on here, make sure that it's going. All right, that's going to take a second to warm up. And meanwhile, I'm going to work in areas that are not over there in the meantime. So that area, I can probably carve a little bit over here. And without touching this whole thing, like, let's see, very carefully. Guys, the worst part, well, I keep saying the worst part is over, but we don't know that for sure. We definitely do not know that for sure. And then going in, we get some cool little rocky textures there just using the craft knife. But the butcher, I guess that's not a butcher knife, just a cutting knife, is doing pretty well for us there. And while this heats up, takes a while, we will continue to measure and I'll make a couple other cut lines. I mean, if we lose this, it's not the end of the world, but it's so nice. I kind of rather not lose that whole thing. So it'll be tough because we're about to lose our mark here to mark that guy up with, but he's going to get chopped off. And this will be nice because it'll reveal some more of the castle. And here, Castle Frankenstein, I guess I can start to kind of work up to him like that. And this is a terrible idea, carving right on your very delicate castle here, but it's kind of what happens sometimes. Sometimes you just kind of start the builds kind of backwards, but it's what inspires you, right? Sometimes you're like, I'm inspired to build a foam miniature with no plan for how it's going to sit, but, you know, at least it got done, right? And then we figure out the rest as we go. So it just goes to show you, you don't always need a plan for things. Sometimes just get started is the best. There were many times and many years where I didn't get started with stuff because maybe I didn't know how to draw out a schematic, you know, to build a simple bookcase. You know, guess what? Build it out of cardboard, you know, and then transfer the measurements or just start cutting, you know, sometimes practice on a cheap piece of plywood. But the nice thing with that is that it's cheap piece of plywood. You can make all the mistakes you want. Or if you're like me, I just kind of tend to go for it, you know, and see how it goes. So I'm carving to reveal this little guy over here while our glue gun does its thing. Yeah, it's getting nice and hot. This is a ancient glue gun. So it takes its time, you know, it just sits there pondering whether or not it should, you know, heat up, and it likes to think about it. So we'll just let it do that for now. And then, let's see, I mean, I can almost like, see what I did there? Just kind of like move it down and then build my way back up with some crumbles. Instead of sitting here and like going nuts. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a new line and move this entire thing down. Yes, I'm cheating. And hopefully I'll be rewarded for it, guys. You know, sometimes you might get rewarded. And sometimes it's not cheating. It's just coming up with a smarter idea, you know. It seems like cheating at first, but then you're like, no, that's the correct way to do things. And I'm just carefully revealing our Castle Frankenstein here. There we go. There he is in all his glory. And I think I may just keep the castle here, you know, just to make our lives easier. And let's see. Although nothing. I changed my mind. I'm just making sure this is somewhat positioned where I want it, and the castle position kind of where I want it. So yes, my original idea is not so good. I'm going to leave it that way. And we're going to use our marks. So I'm going to keep going, revealing our Castle Frankenstein, preferably without butchering it. And it looks like our glue gun is complete, people. I'm gonna go ahead and salvage our little guy here. And let him be there. And I might as well throw some hot glue here, even though we're gonna cut a lot of this out. At least it'll give it a little more rigidity, you know, in the end there. So let me reposition our little, hopefully it doesn't stick to the castle. That's a whole other issue. All right, and while that sets up, I'm going to continue cutting out our Castle Frankenstein this time. Ooh, getting close there, people. Getting close. Ooh. Actually, I probably shouldn't be too worried about Castle Frankenstein because it's already pretty dilapidated looking. And we're carving down to meet the castle. It's looking pretty good. Now I'm carving down to meet that little broken tower there. Oh, I just hit the castle. You know what, castle? I'm just gonna move you out of the way so I can go to, oh, heck yeah, town on here. And there we go. Let's see here. All right. Yes. So I'm gonna draw a line for myself just so I know I need to kind of really just annihilate that whole thing. Here we go. Annihilation. Annihilation time. All right. No regrets. All right, now I'm committed. Now I'm committed. No regrets. I have to take this all the way down, and it probably would have helped me out not to use such a giant piece of block here. But like I said, making the castle bottom even and then building up what you need was definitely the way to go. But this way works too, and building it kind of backwards. All right. So let me, there it is. It's like once you have like so much stuff, you can't see what you really need. It's all buried in the stuff. So there is a point where I am going to be missing material. So I want to make sure not to cut past that point. So that's right around here and here. So I want to cut that square out like that and give you guys a view of what I'm cutting out, right? So we're cutting out this little square right there. And if I measure correctly, we can cut with impunity. So let's go for it. This is like using the psycho cutting method. But I think I'm just gonna chop like this and chop and snap. Hot glue gun wisps all over the place. All right, so let's see how that is sitting. Our Castle Frankenstein is being revealed. All right, so I think I can lose a little bit more. We're gonna lose more of this. We're gonna lose kind of like this much more. That hairy line, that's what we're gonna attempt to lose. So I'm gonna move him aside and kind of chop. And I got all kinds. See, look, it's floating. It's a floating little. No, it's not. It's actually hot glue gun wisps everywhere, or the little spider web that it forms. Then it gets stuck on everything. All right. Going layer by layer here and revealing what we need. So that's a little bit more. in our rock formation. Yeah, there we go. So now we've over-revealed, if you see what I mean, but we need to lose this anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and rough chop all this stuff, and then we'll kind of move it down to where we need it. And I'm going to start to move this foam. The objective is we got to like go down to meet, like slope down to meet this little tower that's all the way in the back. So I'm going to start this, this whole thing. Oh, cool. David Beck has joined us. What did I miss? All right. So we are carving a cliff formation out of this big old piece of foam. And so I know I'm seeing a couple more people joining, so let me catch you guys all up. We have finished our Castle Frankenstein. Well, we haven't finished it, or Frankenstein, pardon me. I got all the major components that I needed to get done in order for it to lay flat on our surface. That way we can build up on it. And so you can see it doesn't rock back and forth. I did make a couple facade angular changes in order for it to lay flat like this. And I took our discussion about Dr. Frankenstein not having any time for maintenance and applied that to his tower here. So you can see that we got broken pieces of popsicle sticks, and it just looks like it's being held together by those, those wooden support beams there. So I think that's going to look fun. I think I'm going to put a couple holes in the roof. The roofs are all kind of framed out, but they're not complete, only because I knew this next stream right now would be a little bit rough on the castle, and I didn't want like the paper to tear or anything like that. But by using toothpicks, I can see relatively how high, all of the towers are, and we have our little bridge. So what I did was glue together 4 pieces of this purple stuff. And ideally, I was telling everybody else, I think next time the best thing to do, rather than following the artistic angles, is to just build your castle straight, right? Just build it straight. Don't do this angle stuff. That way you can sit it on your foam and then kind of crumble foam up to meet it. Instead, I did this, and I'm kind of scared to crumble foam. Like, what if it doesn't match? So I cut a big old hole in the back to be able to fit our castle. And you can see these lines right here, just so I can meet up with our foam. And you can see you're gonna leave the little exit manor there, and you're gonna follow this road on down to the townspeople, which may or may not be carrying pitchforks and torches and all that for you. And so we're using the Castle Frankenstein picture in order to kind of like try and keep this mostly right. And my trusty, kind of dull serrated kitchen knife is doing a really fantastic job of not only adding rock textures, but kind of helping us to carve this down pretty quickly here. I do have a foam cutter, but it's very aggressive, and I think we'll just end up butchering this. So we did have foam up to here. I went ahead and began cutting down to reveal our castle, and I think our hot glue is good enough here to secure our piece leading up to the bridge. I used wood glue to secure the layers together. Bad idea. The wood glue after 24 hours still didn't even dry. And so I think it just doesn't like the foam. I've used it for other foams. It was fine, but for this foam, it didn't work. So I'm switching to the hot glue. We might have some separation, but I can just hot glue it all together. So that is what you missed. We are all caught up, and I'm not gonna lie, the very first cut into this thing was really scary, but once you kind of get over that, now we're just we're doing our thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and follow some of these serrations that I made. I'm gonna remove this chunk here and this chunk here, and for that I'm just gonna pop you out of the way like that, just in case, and using my kitchen knife. Ooh, I already hear cracking. Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe I should just use a craft knife to get through this. And I wiggle it like a tooth and see if it'll pop out. And then this little piece right here, we're just gonna, I actually prefer the craft knife for the rock formations because I think you get some really cool jagged edges. But the knife gives you some nice, like smaller, crumbly looking rocks. So I'm going to combine the two. And I was telling everyone else before David joined us, the paper mache is my backup. Like if this ends up looking like a huge blob, yeah, we're going to paper mache it or make a nice hump and cover it with dirt, you know, and call it a day. But so far, so good. And I'm just going to line this up with all of our lines here. Although it's going to get pretty tough to line up here because we're running out of a thing. So what I'm going to do is we definitely have a gap. So we're going to be filling that later. But I'm going to make a natural slope from here on down to meet the castle. And we may end up running out of material because this hill sits on top of this hill right here. So we may end up, you know, running out of material, but we can always add some. So here I go, just ever so slightly. We're going to start kind of like making it look like it's touching or leading up to touch the castle without, you know, shredding the castle as I just hit Frankenstein's tower there. So it does look like the YouTube chat is working. It looks like it took a break for a while, but it came back. All right. So I'm going to keep that there. So yeah, we're getting kind of a nice thing there. And I'm just going to keep taking layers off. And you know what? I want to reveal a little bit more. So here, I'm going to chop this off. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. All right, let me move this. I'm just going to do it. Oh gosh. I think it's covering too much of our castle. And this especially right here where Frau Blucher lives. I definitely want to show. I gave her this largest manor here because she deals with a lot. And clearly she takes care of it, unlike Dr. Frankenstein. So that's better. I like that it reveals more. There's a window down here that's being covered. So I'm going to try and work my way down, keeping my knife kind of slanted. And I'd also like to reveal more of Castle Frankenstein because I did a very cool thing here in the back. Normally, when we first made our artistic cuts, I cut the castle like that, and it was very like avant-garde, right? You know, well, that didn't work out too well because, well, now there's a big old hole where our lighting scheme is going to escape. And I thought, man, you know, I joined two pieces, but it looked very joined in a cheap way. So I decided to make it look all broken and stuff like that. You know, Castle Frankenstein is falling apart, and using some of these broken popsicle sticks to kind of hold it together. And so I am just gonna, wrong way. Give you guys a closer look there. So imagine the lighting scheme kind of peeping out through this crack. I think that's going to look super, super cool. And then we have our broken little tower there. So as you move the castle, it goes from like pretty to kind of dilapidated, you know, over here. So you know who lives over here. And we all know who lives over here. And I cut some windows out for our little tower there. And so I'm going to put him here, but it would be a shame to cover a lot of this cool crack and stuff. So I'm going to continue digging here at the expense of running out of material because we can crumble rocks all the way up to it as long as we have, you know, enough structure on the bottom there. So there's a window there that I want to reveal. So I'm just going to, whoa, maybe not a good idea to have the castle right there. And that's one of our layers here wanting to come off because the wood glue did a horrible job holding this together. So whatever needs to stay together, I will just have to hot glue gun it. Yeah, hot glue gun it again. So maybe I should probably just take that layer off. But let's see if I'm gonna need it before I do it. Let me get our little bridge situation, and I'm gonna try and lean this way as not to mess up your guys' view. So I need to keep this, but I can still kind of slant it down. So let me just make a mark so I just kind of know for myself. And here I want to continue cutting down, and I definitely want to continue cutting down here to reveal. Let me get this situated correctly, because I think I'm going to lose some more over here and try and shift this mountain a little bit. So I'm going to hold it carefully and start to reveal our castle a little bit more. He's too covered, and that's kind of the coolest part of our build there. Because if we look at our picture, Castle Frankenstein is very defined. He does meld with the mountain a lot, but we definitely want those corner lines to be seen, especially the two in the front, which are this one and this one. So we definitely, it can't be too obliterated here by the rock. So I'm actually going to start cutting a triangle to allow it to be seen. Uh-oh. I like how right where you need a grab is where the tightening knob is. So I'm always untightening these things as I'm cutting. And then it pops right out. And tight, and tight. Okay, we're good, we're good. And continuing on with what I was saying, let me start to pick at this. Sometimes you can twist with the knife and get it, which is kind of neat. That just created some really cool rock formations. Check that out. So in trying to carve this basic shape, I'm kind of getting some ideas on how to make our rock formations. So there we go. And I'm just removing a lot of this bulk, because this mountain right here is behind this one and it's almost at the same level. So I'm going to try and just debulk it a little bit so it looks like it's actually behind this little hill. And you'll notice how I'm leaving this road, which is completely like off your screen. I am leaving this road for last. I'm like, I ain't touching that right now. You know, we're going to figure that one out. We're just working in this area here, which I don't know that it's any easier or not than that road. At least that road is pretty well defined. And I'm just hoping not to regret, because we're kind of in the area now where it's like more, how much Castle Frankenstein do I have? All right, so I don't have much more. I can't really go too much further. So I think I'm going to leave him there, but this mountain can definitely go shorter. And if we look at Castle Frankenstein, yes, they kind of match. They're actually at the same height. It's just one is behind the other. So I'm doing a really poor job of getting this thing behind. Frank Nook just joined. Oh, and he's catching up with the project. He's getting on late. Yes, we had a couple late arrivals, but that's okay. I caught everybody up. Mic volume, can you turn up your mic volume a little bit? Thanks so much. This is a great project. So yes, I can definitely turn my, if I talk over here, is that any better? You know, is this good? And I will actually, let me take a moment to turn that up. I will be right back, people. I'm going to put you on an intermission and grab a drink of water. Stay hydrated. This is only like 3 minutes, 3-minute intermission. All right, hopefully that is better. So post in the comments if it's too loud, too soft. You know, I definitely don't want to blow your ears out. I can see from my meter, I'm in the yellow, which is like a touch next to the red, which means you get some distortion at that point. But hopefully that's just enough for everybody. And I will be hydrated too. Hold on. Here we go. Like I said last stream, I'm a huge Peanuts fan. So this is another one of my collection. And down. All right, hopefully I don't like knock my knee into that and just spill it all over, but it'll be refreshing because it's beginning to get hot outside. So it's kind of nice. All right, let me see how much width or how much thickness of material that I have here. All right, David Beck is agreeing with me. He's like, yes, hydration is very important. Okay, so a couple areas that we need to move, start sloping down towards. We have our little tower all the way back here, and he is just buried. Now, I can't really take this level any further down, so we're going to start carving down to him to meet him, just like we're doing here. We're carving down. We carved down to our tower, and I'm going to lose some of this mass right here, which this is kind of the scary part. Here we go. I'm gonna lose this mass, and he looks kind of like a ice cream cone, or I don't know. It's not looking very treacherous right now. This is more like a fairyland or a Cinderella's castle looking mountain. I guess the purple color, guys, really doesn't help. I am not gonna lie, that does not help. But I think I'm actually gonna remove a lot of this right here. Here I go. I'm just gonna go for it, because I really like the work that we did here, and it's getting all obliterated. So, Frankenstein, picture or no picture, I think I'm going to take a creative liberty here and reveal some of the nice work we did. And if you're looking closely, I framed out a lot of the windows, like nice little frames and stuff going on. So be nice to show that. And I think there we go. We're going to start losing our lines there to match things up, but that's okay. I think we pretty much have an idea of what's going on. Don't move, little castle. And this is what happens when you don't build the castle straight. A straight bottom edge. You end up having to carve right on top of the thing you worked so hard on. But it's working. All right, now I'm just gonna lose some more bulk right here and start bringing it down to meet our Castle Frankenstein line that I created right there. And that means I gotta like dance around, you know, dance around our piece here. And now this is beginning to look like it's behind this guy a little bit more, which is what we want. And our Castle Frankenstein can probably lose a little bulk too. All in all, I'm trying to flatten this as much as possible and remove as many layers as I can, or else we're going to have a massive window like poking out at us, you know? I'm going to have to poke a hole through the wall just to compensate. All right. So here we are. We're moving down towards our little guy here. Let me see where this hill is. If this hill is this hill above or behind this hill? So let's take a quick look here. And they all seem to kind of be together. So this hill kind of comes, and by then the castle, we got to lose a ton of bulk over here. So I love places where we have to lose bulk, because then we can just like really go nuts on the cutting. So I'm gonna go nuts, which kind of sucks because we are gonna lose our little area there that shows Let me back myself up. Whoop, back up a little bit. Like I have this little hash mark here that was kind of indicating where the top of this thing is, but we're gonna lose all that now. And I am cutting on top of our gorgeous stormy night here, but that kind of gives me an idea of where the castle is gonna be. And perhaps I'm gonna remove the castle because now we gotta just like do a huge chunk here. So I'm just gonna like get in position and just saw layer by layer and go removing our little, I don't want to like finish sawing on that. Let me grab is this my big one or my little one? This is my medium one. And I cleaned up before this, but look at it now. But check out these shards of rock. And there goes the the knife. Luckily it didn't hit me, but see, like we can use these to just kind of fill in. They already look, you know, pretty rocky to me. And then I think if we add some effects using our tinfoil, or better yet, I really like the way the wire brush is. I'm just gonna sink down and grab the craft knife here. All right, let me continue shaving off this this bulbular area right there and see how that goes. And maybe I can do that just with layer by layer with the craft knife. Might be a little bit easier. And just break these pieces off since the wood glue did such a poor job of gluing this thing together. Actually, on this side, it's pretty good. The side where I clamped it down, it seems like in the middle, it's pretty crappy. But near the clamps, it actually glued down pretty well. Oh, David Beck is saying, I also noticed the wood framing and sheeting on the tower. Yeah, so we're making Castle Frankenstein look like his tower has seen better days. And to be like perfectly honest, you know, that popsicle sticks that I used to brace the sides of the castle. Remember those hideous gaps that we had? Because I decided to be all artistic and then changed my mind and went back to closer to 90 degrees. It created some really ugly, I hope you guys can hear me over that, you know. Because I decided to go back to something closer to 90 degrees, we had these really ugly gaps. And at first I thought I can make some stone looking trim like we did for the rest of the castle. But then the castle would start looking like too much the same. Like all the towers would start looking similar. Silence. I know to some people it's like nails on chalkboard with this. All right. So I decided adding kind of a dilapidated Castle Frankenstein was kind of cool, just to kind of break up the look a little bit. So, I can't match that up to that. So I'm going to use our little bridge here, and as long as the castle is straight like that, and it's not like tilting, I think I'll go with that. And I also like the fact, there we go. So I'm going to start marrying up. I think it needs to be a little higher. So yes, we're definitely missing material here, but I can fill it in. We're gonna start meeting him. We're gonna start to carve this area down, but I am kind of curious about this road. I don't know. I'm like thinking of potentially tackling it, you know? Let me carve off a little more bulk here as I muster up courage. I'm like looking at it, and I'm looking at it, but we'll see. We'll see if I don't chicken out. Chicken out on that road. All right, let me see what my material looks like. So I got 2 sheets here, and then I got 4 sheets to cover the road. All right, that gives me an idea of how far I can cut into this thing, you know? So, here we go. You can see I'm a totally... And what I'm going to do, just so I don't forget, I'm just going to start to bevel out over here. because I'd like to remove at least an entire sheet of material over here, because this part of the mountain is already moving back into the distance, away from us, away like if we were staring at this picture. So all this here is going to need to go. So if I carve like a valley, it's going to remind me to do that later. And same thing here, like all this is just going to need to go. And so as long as we kind of maintain these lines, we're cool. And then we can kind of add our own artistic flair to it. So I think that that's the easy part. So let's move on to kind of the hard part. And I think more material here needs to go. And that's going to give us an idea for when we work on the road, how sticking out it's going to be. Here I have only a tiny bit of material left, so I can't really shave from here too much more. But we can get into here a bit. And where I said I can't shave here too much more, that's exactly where I'm shaving. Yeah. So it's just awkward for the eyes because this part right here is just so big, and I feel like I have to keep this. Once it's moved down, we'll make this look right. So I'm gonna stop. And let me get our little guy correct there. And see, there's a little bit of a gap between the bridge and the road. So I will have to fill that with something, which I will figure out. And let's do that. So I think this part is blocked out, you know, just kind of rough cut pretty good. And now we're going to try and figure this road out, which I will move here for you guys. All right, let me think about this. So once I feel everything's in place. So the idea is that this middle part here, which I guess I will color kind of black, but if, you know, we're going to end up carving it all out. That's the deepest part of that's, you know, the actual road. So it's got to be completely carved out. And this cliff kind of goes right up to the edge of that. And then we're going to have to completely take this side down. I mean, really, really down. And then these will kind of bulge. But before we do this, let us consult the map. All right, let's see what's going on here with this. All right, so yes, the road, the actual road portion is we have to make kind of a deep cut there. And then the right side of the road, you can see that mountain is pretty in the back there. So, all right. And then this area here. All right, let's start with the road because that's probably the easiest. Famous last words. All right, well, how do I want to do this? I guess I'll start like this and just kind of block it out. And I'm cutting at diagonals just so I can kind of get the material out. And I am working with a full 4. So I can cut in pretty deep on here. Okay. This is looking like a whole bunch of nothing. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was hoping I'd start carving it magically, like it would just start looking like really amazing. But no, alas, it is not the case. Let's see, hopefully I start visualizing it a little bit better. We'll see. Oh, stuck knife. All right. And I need that X-Acto knife where the blade pulls out like really long, like almost like a stick. I think that would make life a ton easier. And you can see I didn't even like prep the stool. I'm like, I am doing this standing up because you know I mean business. When I stand up, it's like, uh-oh. Run, project, run. I'm coming for you. All right, so I think I'm just gonna get this road here carved out. And I thought it would be kind of cool for it to just kind of go off to the side of our window, kind of like, you know, no one knows where it goes. And it's weird carving it like laying like this, whereas the painting is up like that, you know, so it's kind of a weird perspective. I almost feel like I should like hang it on the wall and kind of carve it that way, but I think I can flip it by 90 degrees in my head, you know, hopefully. All right, so we have our road kind of mapped out there, and I guess it looks okay. And I'm gonna start taking some of this down here so it's not so sharp and it starts meeting our road. And it's kind of interesting to see like the texture meet the non-texture. It kind of throws your eye off a little bit, but I think we'll be okay. All right, so now a lot of this has to come off. I think it has to come off. There we go. And our little castle there. Just push a lot of this stuff that we may use for rocks later. It's like, save it, save it. Like, I'm trying not to breathe on it so that way it doesn't all over the place. All right, let's position him back and see how he's looking here. It's looking pretty good. And the little road is coming down, and I'm gonna refer to our castle. So when the road takes this turn a lot, oh, that's gonna really reveal, but you know what? I'll fill it up. I will fill it up with stuff. We're gonna lose some material, and then this has to come down quite a ways. I'm just kind of like cutting as we speak here. And then it makes kind of like a little raised thing. I'm just kind of taking notes as I go. Oh yes, where the road ends, you see how it kind of fades to a black gradient? We don't know. That's why I added that little snake that just kind of takes the road away from us. So I think, and let me see what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of defining the outer edge of that road just a little bit, and I think that'll help my eyeballs see what it is I'm trying to do, which I will admit I don't know quite yet. So anyone with ideas, you know the rule. Start chiming in. And where'd my craft knife go? It's like trying to hide. It's like, no, I will not be a part of this. A part of this butchery here. All right. I think if we define, I guess I'm calling this the railing, you know, the railing of the road, the side rails a little bit. I think that's going to help us out a wee bit. Oh, getting a little too excitable there with the cutting. just so you guys can see this this travesty. There we go. All right, first foam sculpt. I'm putting this one in the books. We'll see how it comes out. I've done foam miniatures, and foam castles and, you know, building with blocks and all that, but taking a block and sculpting it like this, well, it's kind of a first. And I think if we now start to lose a lot of this bulk, because look at how much we have, and this is how much in, let's see, that is 2.5 inches jutting out. So if I can kind of lose a whole inch, that would be great. So we're gonna try and go for that. Try and lose a whole inch of this. And even if we begin to reveal portions of our castle, like right here, boop, we're missing material, that's okay. That's my own fault for trying to cut this out all artistic and such. We'll fill it with crumbs, like blue cheese on top of a salad, or better yet, a burger, blue cheese crumbles. That's what we're gonna do. So all I'm gonna do is better define this railing, and we may lose some material here, but that's okay. Might go into oblivion. Like right here, I so hard try to like maintain this, but I think it's, oh, so careful. I think it's gonna have to go. And we'll just thinly add some material there. And, wow, this looks like a whole bunch of nothing. I'm looking on the screen there. You guys are like, what the heck? This is awful. All right. And I think it's easier if I start cutting in towards myself. Yeah, don't they say that's bad? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going for it. Although you don't have as much control. And now we begin to see our road a little more clearly there. There we go. Boom, sculpt the cliff. Whose idea was that? I know it was mine, but I'm gonna have to blame one of you guys just to make me feel better. Because some of you had way better and easier ideas than what I'm doing. But if this works out like it is in my head, I think it's gonna look super, super cool. Uh-oh, David Beck, we always end up talking about food, and he's saying, dang it, Rachel, you're making me hungry again with all that food talk. I know, yesterday it was Hungry Man. I did have some leftover chicken, so I had to hit that after the stream. From us talking about Hungry Man and how the fried chicken variety with the mashed potatoes was always my favorite Hungry Man. And I think it had some vegetable that went with it, but, you know, at that point, who cares? Oh, ooh, I was about to start trashing this. All right, let me remember that, and let me, you know what? I'll cut a bevel towards it and move it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. See that line? I think this is a raised portion. So let me cut a bevel. And we're not cutting this, I don't know what I'm doing here, but see this scratch mark here? That's all we need, you know, so I really shouldn't be going too nuts. Let me move this down here, and I'll give you guys kind of the view of what I'm doing, which is one of the reasons I'm carving entirely on this piece, which is a bit of a risk, you know. Let's put our castle, because I didn't want our castle to be up in the clouds, to give room for our lightning. After all, the castle's cool and all, but the whole point of this is being a lightning detector, so that's definitely our centerpiece, you know. And so I thought I'm gonna run out of foam, but I can glue some stuff. All right. So I thought we can have the lightning, see how there's like a plain area here? We can have the lightning come in, but I also thought about having the lightning come in from this side as well and hitting Castle Frankenstein. So I'm going to try and aim that EL wire down to Castle Frankenstein. So maybe I'll move him to the right a little bit to give us more room, and move the castle down like I had talked about. See how much more room now we have? And so that was kind of the point of the whole thing. And then above this stormy area, like way above there, we'll have our twinkling lights. So one of the things you'll notice is that this leaves a whole bunch of nothing over here, but that's okay because we're gonna lose all this bulk and it's gonna meet up. Basically all this has to be at the same level as this guy down here. So that's gonna like meet up down there. I'm not too worried about that. And this, we just have to leave a little bit of a border. Yeah, so something like that because we do have our frame to enclose this. So I'm just gonna make a cut for myself as a reminder, like, don't worry about this. There we go. Don't worry about that. And then we can continue on with this whole mess here. I'm gonna move our castle and bring you guys in on the action and continue carving our road here, the terrifying road, and losing this bulk as well because, so I was saying earlier, I could have practiced this, you know, and cheated. But I think half the fun is just figuring it out together and just seeing, you know, kind of where everything goes. Sometimes you guys have a much better suggestion, so that's why I always like waiting and doing some things with you guys. So we're doing everything with you guys. All right, so now we lost a little bit of bulk near our road, which is good. And we need to lose a whole heck of a lot more bulk here. But I think I'm gonna focus my attention here a little bit and continue to, dear God, this is like, I knew this was gonna be the scariest part of this whole thing, is this road. Just layer by layer, and you can see the glue just totally didn't dry. Whoa, careful there. Didn't dry between these layers. Wood glue does not like all kinds of styrofoam. All right. What are these things? What the heck did I draw there? Oh, I guess they're just kind of like the mountain going down and getting buried in here. I don't know what that is. I think it would help if I carve this road a little bit more. Not bad, not bad. I don't know how I'm gonna get in this tiny little corner, maybe with a craft knife. But it just doesn't bend the right way. Maybe like this. There we go. Trying to kind of make these guardrails, I guess, stone guardrails, stand out a little bit. It is kind of weird carving in this orientation when the painting is vertical and to be carving in horizontal. I don't know why, it shouldn't be, but it is a little weird visualizing this road. And I also think that we need to lose a lot more bulk. It'll start to visualize a little bit better. And yes, we need to connect this a little better here, but we'll figure that out. That's not too bad. And I'm going to continue losing bulk. As long as I kind of keep this crevice here pretty deep, I'll kind of remember where things are. So let's see here. Here is kind of the thing. And the road just seems like it's very close to the mountain, so it's not like a very deep road. And then here we need to create a wall that's kind of like this. Oh dear. All right, let's start to lose that bulk. Actually, the first thing I have to do is the other side also has a railing which starts over here. So before I switch views where you guys can actually see, I'm gonna go ahead and carve a railing. And then you can see the railing goes like this, whoops, like this, and like this. And like that. So let's try that. So my little railing here. And it might be easier to do this with a craft knife, just to keep things a little bit more precise for now. Then we'll go in with the knife from the Psycho movie, the old black and white. Right. I'm kind of losing whatever the heck it is I drew there. I'm trying to remember. They're kind of like the cliff supports, but I don't know, it's kind of not working. It's not working for me. There we go. So we have our two guardrails. And the way this sits, this kind of doesn't have a guardrail, so we can just do that. And carve more road. Now that we got rid of that guardrail, hopefully we did the right thing. It's like, oh, I need that back. I need that back. All right, so let's start getting rid of stuff. I love getting rid of stuff. That's always good. All right, now we have kind of a big decision. Should I cut this? Because I think I kind of need to. Because we're going to need to start carving down, and this is kind of in the way. So let me make a final measurement and bring it all down like that. And let me show you guys, in case you have any other ideas, what I'm doing right here. And I'd like our castle to be right about there, so we have enough room for the lightning bolt to hit our castle Frankenstein. And of course we're going to be putting in some fake clouds with some fartatucus stuffing or cotton balls. And as long as our castle is looking pretty, I'm going to get rid of myself here for a second, pretty straight is the word I was looking for. And that's funny because on your guys' screen it doesn't look very straight, but to me, looking down at this angle that I'm at, it looks pretty straight. So I think I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to draw a line. I'm just going to lift it just a little bit. And draw a line as to where I think this is going to be. Ruler. All right. Oh, don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. But this will kind of help us start knocking things down a little bit better. All right, shall we get rid of all this? I think we shall, right? So we're gonna remove all of this hot mess right here. And this is really the only cliff part we have to worry about. So I think that's just gonna help us move along the blocking a ton faster, and then we can start adding our details. So I'm gonna follow this line. Oh, look at that. It's still wet. And this is over 24 hours of gluing time here. I'm going to keep it though. I'm going to let that glue kind of dry out. Whoop. A lot less carving we have to do. Oh, that's not going. You give it another negotiation. Oh yeah. Kitchen knife action. Alright, so it's definitely not the glue holding it together. You know what? I think I have a much bigger craft knife in my little box here. Let's see. I have this guy. Let's see if he can negotiate any better. And let me quickly clean the glue off of our knife because we're going to need it for our effects later on, and it needs to be the right level of bluntness without the glue, or so I found. Well, that seems better. Uh-oh. It totally separated from the back. No, don't do that. That's not good. Let me go back to our craft knife, and I'm just gonna saw. This piece is like, yeah, no, I'm hanging on. I want to see where this project goes. Ooh, crackage. Oh, that's gross. Getting glue all over me. Go. Now I don't want to cut this on this piece, so I think I'm gonna, maybe there's a way to saw it this way, right? Or if I give it a good score, it'll go probably a little bit better. Now, one of the things we might end up having to do is hot glue gun some of these layers together because that wood glue ain't holding up too well. So I'm going to move this a little bit closer to me, and we can already kind of position our little... Oh, what happened? We got a camera down. All right. Give me a second. It looks like it got unplugged and it just ran out of battery. So I will not put you on an intermission. I'm just going to keep you right here and I'm going to plug it in, right? All right. All right, so we are almost back. It's just going to take me, I had to change outlets. So it'll take me a second to just get everything reoriented, and I'll be right back. So I will not put you on, actually will, yes, I will put you on a brief intermission, but that little screen thing will just be black. So I'll be right back. All right, hopefully I did it. I don't really know why it died. It said the battery went out. And none of these are running on batteries. They are hardwired into power. So I don't know why it's basically abandoning ship on this project. So continuing on after all of that, and so David Beck is saying, clearly the Yoda Force knocked the power cord clean out. Yes, but more often than not, it's usually a cat that they love to play in here while I'm setting up, and they love to tug on all the cords, and then sometimes they'll rip the USB cord right out of the camera, and then I don't always notice until something like this happens. But everything was connected correctly, so we'll just call it the dark side of the Force getting the better of our stream. So let me continue on and see what the heck it is we are. Where were we after all that? These interruptions. All right, let me see. So this castle kind of sat like this, and he's going to move on back. And I'm just checking. Yep, that camera is still rolling. So we're good. And I'm going to move this where you guys can see. So see, it goes to the bottom of the piece, although it's going to move just a little bit up. So I have a tiny bit of border there to hide electronics or have to be able to put a frame of some sort. And I'd also like to carve this down and lose at least another ½ inch here. So whatever we're doing here, we're just going to keep, carving it down and down. So I'm going to work on this side a little bit of our road and get this bulk off, and then that'll allow us to start getting a lot of this bulk off too. So where are my knives at? My knives. All right. So I was cutting in this general area. because this kind of, this area behind here kind of drops off. So we want to kind of mimic that drop off. And boy, after cutting that piece off, whoa, careful there. Our little wood glue is wanting to come apart on us. All right. So that's a whole layer gone. I believe each one of these sheets is 1/2 inch. So I am glad to see a whole 1/2 inch gone. I am not going to complain about that. And I'm going to just shave this here. And shave without hitting our little guardrail too much. All right. I love shaving the bulk. That's the fun part. All right. I wish I knew of a tool that like picks this out really, really well, but I do not. So we're just gonna pick the best we can. And then poke. Then somehow make this look like a road. Maybe we can add like little tile pieces. But the idea is that we are going to get, whoop, the knife, it bit me. Because, oh, that went down the wrong way. Because a lot of this road, my idea is that it's going to squish in as it goes, just to kind of help save on the bulk situation that's going on right here. So I'm going to cut this like that. Oh, it drew blood, people. It drew blood. That means that, you know, tool's getting angry. Maybe it's because it's turning out really good. So now it's like, darn, try to sabotage, as they normally like to do. So I'm beginning to get this first layer off to reach our glue layer. And look at it go. It nicked me butt good. I'll just go like this as I keep going. In case anyone's squeamish. We don't want any of that. Oh, there goes our blade again. There we go. Get it nice and tight. All right, go like that. And where were we? I need to create a situation here and a situation here. So this has got to go. And no, not again, not again. All right. So what I'm going to do is let that guy chill out for a bit as he charges up. And unfortunately, we are stuck with just me, you know, with just this camera, which is, you know, not great, but it is what we got going on. So yes, I'm wondering why that one is just taking a nap. It's kind of like what I would want to do right now. Come on now. No napping without me. All right, so that's going to take a nap. I'm just going to keep on going here and get our road. So that is, I'm going to have to do one of these. I think that's looking pretty good. Let it focus there. And so I kind of have a hill going on here, and all we have to do then is lose this bulk right here, and then we have like a basic shape of how this is gonna go. And so I'm gonna keep working while that, you know, I'll give that like 5 minutes to get a nap. Yeah, so David Beck is saying, now this project has your blood, sweat, and tears built in. That is totally true. Yep, that is not a lie. And it's taken my gear. It's actually taken all my gear down with it. It's like, I will have your blood, your gear, and everything. All right. So we have a nice little I think we're coming up with a nice little path. I'm gonna hide behind it. It looks like a bunch of chicken scratch right now, you know, but I think it'll start looking pretty good here. And we'll see if that camera starts cooperating soon. But I'm just gonna start to dig out our road a little bit more while the camera takes a nap. You know, just takes a nap on us. Can you imagine how come let the cameras work and I'll take a nap? You know, I'll just kind of like lay down over here across the table. Most boring stream ever. Nap time stream. And that's the worst when you're at work, because over on the East Coast we start at 2 o'clock. And 2 o'clock is that like post-lunch slump where like you have a full belly and you just kind of rather go home and sleep, you know. And then for West Coasters, well, you're getting to lunchtime, you know, there pretty soon. But probably towards the end of the stream, that's when you hit your post-lunch slump. So we all get to experience that, which is good, you know. No one is forgotten in the post-lunch slump. All right, so carving this out, it's looking pretty good. And that's, you know, when the knife goes flying like that, that's when it gets you. It gets you. And, ooh, I can kind of carve like this, which I know you guys can't see any of as our camera continues to nap. All right. And all right, not bad. This is now making actual sense. You know, I was a little worried there in the beginning. I am not going to lie. I was like following the template, but I wasn't really seeing it. You know, I just wasn't seeing the dimensions and the, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to keep going. Just keep carving along. Trust the template. Trust the template and carve along and see what happens. So I'm going to let that camera just keep going there for a bit. And that way, all right, let me take a look at this castle here. So this, yeah, it's almost like we need to lose a ton more bulk. I mean, I'm liking that. I'm not going to complain. That means it's the less that we have to carve out. So can't complain about that. I'm just getting in here and removing said bulk. There we go. And it also doesn't help that I changed the orientation of the castle a little bit, especially that road. So it is kind of affecting things a bit as to where they lay, but that's okay. I think we're pretty good here. And yeah, so there needs to be pretty much almost nothing here. So the road, really this thing should be like that, but that's gonna jack me up. All right, so still napping. I think if I can let it garner its juice just a little bit, it'll kind of get a head start, so it's not starting on E, you know. And I'll show you guys where I'm at. You know what? I could probably hook up a webcam. If this thing falls asleep again, I'll just hook up a webcam and we can follow along that way. I should probably have that as a backup anyways. Now this is, although this is the second time in all the streams that I've done that this has ever happened. It took a nap on us one time because it indeed was unplugged. So one of the cats was playing on the extension USB cord, and yes, the whole thing just got unplugged, and I didn't realize by the time I started the stream. You do your final checks, everything looks good, and then that's when they come in and sabotage. So, I think that is looking pretty good. I'm going to show you guys what I've done here. All right, so remember Remember there were some black like lines here and I was like, what is that? Now I remember it's like kind of the humps that support our guardrails. So now I know that's what it was. So I think we are getting to a good spot with the blocking. We have only a couple more things to do, and then we can work on the details, which is like the coolest part. And we'll see how this camera situation goes. If it doesn't go, I'll either hook up a webcam or we'll detail on Friday, which means we still stay on schedule for painting this thing, right? Because that's what I want to get to the painting, which is the more fun part. That's like where things are brought to life. Right now it looks like, you know, dollar store foam castle. It's looking a little, I mean, like, what the heck is this, you know? So hopefully we can get this thing looking a little bit better. Paint helps a ton. And I thought about going to the craft store and then maybe getting some like fake dirt, fake moss, you know, that we can add. A couple little trees, happy little trees as, let's see, do I need this anymore? Probably not. I think there was like someone doing a live stream and they did the same thing, minor cut with a blade on the finger. I think it was like an X-Acto knife or something, and YouTube literally like took the video down and made like some kind of claim, violence or something, because blood was shown, actual blood was shown. It was a little nick in crafting. It's not like they're doing pranks or anything like that, but you know how it is, sometimes they take it too seriously. All right, so here I'm just trying to start to bring it down, like slope it on down to the level of our board, you know, our backing panel here. And let's see now if this camera has awakened. And I might go with plan B, which is our webcam. It'll just take me like 2 seconds to set that up. And we can continue. And if that totally sucks, then we'll continue. I'll finish blocking this out, which is, it's mostly done. We just need to work on the other side. And we can start painting. All right, so that is looking pretty good. If you guys see, let it focus there. I'm beginning to form a smooth curve down here, and it's like hella hard to see with with all this chicken scratch going on. But yes, it's beginning to kind of smooth out, and then I'm going to add some details there. We have our rough kind of cuts done here. We can add our cliff detail, and then all that's left is all this has gotta go. That's it. And then what I'm doing here, I just have to do on this side and continue the roughage here on the smooth end, and then our rough cliff carving is complete. All right, let's see what's going on here. All right, is it gonna wake up? It woke up. And I'm just trying to see if it's indicating that it's charging. And I can't tell because my eyes cannot see that far. But see, it's got to be charging because it wouldn't have turned on at all if it weren't charging. So that's one thing. Hopefully it's not a permanent equipment malfunction situation, but we'll see if that you know what that does. If not, if it goes down, then you know, we'll come out with something. But David Beck is saying, but the fur babies are the cutest sabotagers ever. They are, and I do have in between streams, like as I got this castle together, I just run a camera, you know, to capture everything. Some people like to see the entire process, and I like to be able to move the project along, so that way next stream we're always kind of tackling something a little different. Sometimes it does get a little repetitive because that's just the way these builds are. But I always try and, you know, keep it moving. So I found a great way of doing that is just to run, you know, a cell phone camera. And there's where you see a lot of the saboteurs working. Usually one on my lap and one right on what I'm working on. That's how they roll, you know. And we have 2 cats and 2 dogs. So there's plenty of saboteurs in this house and in this shop. And for whatever reason, they love coming out when I'm not streaming. Yeah, because I think the attention is not on them. And so they're just like, boring. And they're just not into it at all. But when there's no streaming, then of course they play to the cell phone camera all the time. So I'll be putting that up with all this work that I did. And it's just kind of like a fast forward of fun things going on. All right. Just trying to keep my, whoa, lift it just a little because I don't want to go right on our piece. Although all this is like going to be covered, so I really shouldn't worry about it all that much. And really want to get rid of this little piece right there. Ah, the bulk. The bulk is leaving us. All right, so the kitchen knife, I hate to say, is the way to go for this, the bulk stuff. Move this up for you guys so you see what what I'm doing. I am just removing a lot of this stuff. As much as I said I want to remove bulk, I think we're kind of stuck with this thickness right here. It just looks the most natural because you know how clips, they're thinner at the top and wider at the bottom, and in order to remove the bulk I'd have to make it like wide at the top because that's where our castle is. It's got to meet our castle, and then to make it thinner on the bottom, that's kind of weird, you know. So maybe I am kind of stuck with this bulk, but I think I can work with it. So you can see our little road there is beginning to look a little better. And it's also not as, you know, boxy. You know, we're beginning to get a little bit of a nicer look to it. There. Something like that. And something like that. So I think for the road, still need to make this way deeper, but I think I'll come back to that. But while I'm here, I might as well get things a little more. Whoa, don't separate. And if I deepen this road, it's gonna make our guardrails pop out even more, and then we'll put our cool like little stone effects, you know, and things like that onto it. But let's see here. This bulk can actually really go. Whoa, hold on. Really hang on to this thing. Now I know I'm running out of material towards the top here. You see it's very like, this is all I got. It's pretty thin, so I have to be careful. Actually, I'd love to remove, see that seam line right there? I'd love to remove this little guy here, this being the front right here. I can, yeah. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Whoa. It's a little wobbly like a tooth. There we go, because this starts to, whoa. This starts to look like it's behind the other one. There we go. There. So we have our road. And I'm going to just carve this out a little bit better. Whoa! It's gone running on me. All right, so I think slight more definition of our guardrail right there will definitely help us out. Or so I believe. What I'm trying to avoid is like total boxed, you know, ends. I'm trying to at least make it look like something more curved, something, you know, that's got more of an artsy type of ends to it. Whether that works out or not. So I'm kind of doing the same. I'm mimicking what I just did over here. There we go. So that looks, you know, kind of nice. This road here, I might just do a diagonal chop, but I'm going to leave that for now. Actually, I should probably remove this bulk because this is not making any sense with the angle. So I think it looked kind of nice, so I'm hoping I'm not messing it up. Right. And there, I think I like that better. I think, you know, I think I like that better. And just evening it out just a little bit, and there. So using this knife, I'm not gonna lie, already gives us a really good base for our stone, you know, and then I think when we go in with the tin foil and the wire brush, I think things are gonna look pretty cool. And then I think there's a hump here. I think there is. Let me take a look. Goes on. There is not, but I think it would make sense to add one. All right. So far, the camera is, yeah, something like that. the camera is cooperating, so we're gonna keep going because I think I have what I want to do in my head. So while it's in my head, I'm gonna go ahead and try and get it out on here, so I don't forget. There, I think that's what I meant. There we go. And then this, we can lose this bulk here. And I'm going to start to slant this down right here. Like for a while, I wasn't really seeing it. I am not going to lie, but I think I'm seeing it now. So I want to keep going with it while I think I see what I'm doing. But, you know, just as fast as you see it, you're going to unsee it like real quick, you know. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully, we don't unsee it. But, and I think I want to do the same thing here. I want to cut another like little thing like that. Oh, why do I do this? Oh, there's almost no material here. All right, I'm gonna go in with the craft knife and hopefully it doesn't draw blood. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Real carefully. I'm doing like that. There we go. All right, and I'm kind of creating these humps that like support the road. So that way it's not just like a snake going down a piece of foam. I mean, that's what I think I'm doing, you know? And I think that's what I tried to draw in and what those mystery lines were. I drew them in and then I forgot why I drew them in. Ooh, itch. All right. So I think this probably needs to go in a little bit more. Oh, try to draw blood again. All right, and in order to kind of, like I did here, I'm going to remove this material, but carefully, because we don't have like 4 layers here. We only have half of one. So what is that? I think each of these are half an inch, did I say? Maybe half an inch or an inch, but I could be working with as little as 1/4 of an inch of material here, so I have to take my time. And I'm gonna pivot this a little bit more, make that mountain a little more pronounced. All right, and I'm on to the smooth, the nice smooth. That looks a little bit weird, but we'll deal with it. And now let me create kind of a, this looks kind of weird here. It's just like a, I don't know, banana. I'm gonna try and de-banana our banana here. And I think one way of doing it is simply to go deeper here. When in doubt, go deeper. Unless you don't have much foam, then do not go deeper. But yes. There we go. And I think that is looking, I think, pretty good. Guys, this went from looking like a worm to perhaps an actual rock. All right. I'm just trying to figure out how to get rid of this banana. I know that I should probably, ooh, how much material do I have here? If I carve this away. Let me check. Nope, wrong way. I was about to carve the wrong depth. I'll carve this away, and I'm going to use a craft knife for this, just because it's a little tight in here. for my kitchen knife. There. And I'm just making our, bring you guys in a tiny bit more. Whoop, there we go. So I'm just making our a shallower valley, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So our road worm, as I'm calling it, is much more pronounced. There we go. And this can probably come in like this. And this can be gotten rid of. And we can probably go in. Ooh, not that deep though. I can almost feel the knife coming through the other side. Like right here is where we lose our, no, yes, right here going this way is where we lose our material. So that's got to be a little less. Although here, it's kind of weird. Let's see if you guys can see that. Right here we have 2 layers. Right here we have 1. So right near the road we have 1 layer, then it kind of goes to 2 and stays at 2. Not 2, but you know, two boards still stuck together. So I might be able to lose this bulk right here, which might de-banana our situation. Or no, it just made the banana still a banana. So that did not de-banana the situation at all. But one of the things I can do is just kind of add a little more holes here. That'll help de-banana a little bit more. And kind of screwed up our slope a little bit here that I was trying to add. Although I could go deeper. That might be cool. Whoa. I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but I'm committed. I've already stabbed it to death, so it's coming out. There we go. Whoa, I am going way off course. There. I think if we add some deeper pockets where I do have material, it'll help to de-banana that mountain there. There we go. Hopefully that's helping already. And here's where I have to be real careful, because I can almost feel the blade just with the pressure of what I'm doing. But if I can just shape this a tiny bit more, oh gosh, then I'll be good. I'll be good to go. And, oh dear. It also doesn't help that everything has like the same texture right now, you know, so that's not very helpful, but we'll fix it. We'll fix it when we get to our more fine texturizing. And if you look at the picture, the JPEG is just so everything is like low resolution. So anytime you try and make it bigger to try and get any kind of detail, it just turns into a mush situation. So it's not very helpful. And I'm going to add a little bit definition to our little railing here, our railing worm, as I call it. And get rid of some of this right here. I'm just trying to make, add some depth to our, you know, to our thing. So it's not just like a worm sitting, you know, on a flat thing. This is like really rocky and it's coming right at you. Now, in order to do this perspectively correct, whoop, wrong way. This side of the road would have to be up higher. you know, like it's, you know, and this would have to start down here. But because of the 3D-ness of our castle, I'm doing this because I don't think it'll look, you know, that bad. And it's going to really save on the width. Going onto our walls, because that's going to be really obnoxious if we have something that sticks out 2 feet, you know, from the wall, and trying to avoid that all the time. So I am trying to avoid that whole thing. So I'm going to take another quick look here at Castle Frankenstein, and okay, to make this, one more time, to make this realistic, this wall, so this needs to slant like this, and then this needs to slant like this. All right, so I'm not too worried about this side because that's the easy side. So this is a tough side right here with this road, and making it look more 3D, more realistic. So there we go. Broken through a layer. Broken through a layer. The road actually slants. So I'm going to slant this down. And how much material do I got working here? Okay, good. I got a good deal of material, so I'm good. I'm just making these guardrails kind of stand out a little bit more. All right. And adding a kind of a neat slant to the road here, which is tough to do because the craft knife doesn't quite fit in there the way it's supposed to. And that's not working. I was hoping to fling out pieces, but decided not to fling. So I'll just carve you out. There we go. All right, so right now, the only thing that we have at sea level, or the highest part, is this wormy type situation. Everything is beginning to kind of sink in, which is what we want to happen. All right. We need some carving tunes. Carving tunes. All right. Ooh, that was risky. That was risky. The whole road could have just come right off. Or I guess my railing was what I meant. So I'm going to bevel this. And I don't know how I'm going to remove the bevel, because maybe because it's not so glued in, I can lift this a little bit and remove it. Because if you really think about it, the road is not sitting like this. The road is actually inside, you know, this situation right here. So that's why I'm trying to kind of capture that essence. Make the road a little bit more angled. And I know this is not like making sense. It's making sense in my head, which is, I don't know what's worse. That or just not making sense at all, which I believe sometimes both can be happening at the same time. All right. And so I think it really helped making our road more pronounced. See, that's looking like a lot better. I think it was way too shallow, and it was like, what is that, a worm? I will consult the castle. Yes. So I'm just gonna put our little for real castle back up on here. All right, so that's going to stay like that. Giving it a little bit more depth. All right. So I think it's looking pretty good. See, we have our little, wrong way, our road right here. And now that I carved it deeper, the block cut's looking much better. And of course, this snake, you know, these two snake guardrails here, we're going to add a stone effect, and it's hopefully going to look more realistic. This banana situation here, I'm trying to figure something to do with it, you know, and then we have our ice cream cone. So I'm hoping that once we put the real texture effects on it and Cliff like cuts into it, it's going to look, you know, a little bit better here. And then I think all we have to do is just kind of remove this, and we have a good block cut of this thing that we can start detailing. So let's see here, block cuttage. And what am I doing? I forget. Let's put the castle back. Put the castle back. When in doubt. All right, so this is the little mountain that meets him. So all we're gonna do is we're not gonna cut any excess off. We're just gonna start leaning this whole thing back so that way it meets this little guy back here. So let's do that then. And let me just kind of get a reference. So all that just kind of is floating back into the distance. And here we go. Let me just put this guy here to get an idea. And so, all right. And so this really needs to start leaning back. Lean back. Lean back. All right. All right. It's almost like I need two monitors, one with just a castle Frankenstein or Frankenstein, and one for you guys to see what the heck it is that we're doing. All right. And this is the easy part, since I'm going over here. Start to really, this part has to be much more shallower, or, you know, all the way down here from this part. So we have a lot to cut off. And I've lost all my mountain shape, so I'm going to have to kind of make it back up again. I think it was kind of like this, and then kind of like this. But and I still need to get down here. So let me do that first. Being mindful of what the heck I have here. Oh, that's thin right there. Look at that. So I can play here, but and here, but be careful right in here. Look how razor edge that is. Yeah. Real careful. Not to touch this, but I can touch this. All I want. Touchy, 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 touch. Just like when we were little. Brothers and sisters is like, she touched me, he touched me, and you would just go touch, touch, touch. It would drive him crazy. Oh my gosh, when my sister did that to me, oh, of course I told on her. Tell on him. Right. Okay, And let me carve this a little bit more downwards so I don't lose where this line is. Because this is gonna all disappear. Whoop. All right, so we can see that that's already beginning to move its way down, but we're gonna lose a lot more bulk because this hill is on top of this hill, and right now they look kind of like they're at the same level, so this is just gonna keep on going down below this line right here. So I'm just gonna keep making this line sharper. We're already down to our second layer, and in fact that's really where we need to be, is second or third layer for this. And if we lose some material up here, well, so be it. I'll do that at the cost of having a thinner piece, you know, and we can add some blue cheese crumbles like I was talking about in order to salvage it. Trust me, we got a lot of purple blue cheese crumbles going on here, so I think we're good. All right, and we have at least kind of a curvature here going on, so that way it doesn't just stop straight, looking weird and all. So I'm gonna keep moving us down, cutting at a slant all the way, because really I should just snap this off because we need to, I mean, I'm just being polite, but that's really what we really need to be doing. Banana cave, maybe, is what David Beck is saying. Yeah, I'm thinking at this point I may turn it into a banana cave, that banana piece that I can't quite figure out. It is just kicking my butt. It looks, or a seal, like, but it almost looked like the stem of a banana, and then the banana gets, like, cut off. That's totally what it looks like to me, and I'm having trouble getting rid of it. So I'm gonna come back to it. I'm gonna think on it and see what I can come up with. All right, so now this is looking much, much better. We're getting, and I kind of like this rocky kind of thing that I accidentally totally created over here. Now I'm beginning to have to shimmy back and forth to continue our cuts, because after all, we still have, look at that, we got 2 layers, and we have to smoothly transition that so into one layer, until it's just one layer of foam. So I'm gonna make, ooh, can I do this left-handed? That would be great. That would be great. A little bit, yep. I'm rocking the left hand. It's a tiny bit, or not. Not at all. Not at all. Abort mission. Now this mountain here is now beginning to look in front of you than this mountain here, as if you were looking at the picture, and I'm getting all glued up in here. But it'll be nice to debulk this area right here. And what I might do is then add some kind of like shards here in the back as it kind of, you know, moves off of our piece. But for now, I think, see, we're down to 2 layers only. So I'm going to keep shaving in a diagonal type of way until we get all the way down. To our 1 layer. Oh, that's the layer that's, if we're real close to the real thin stuff. I want to get the thin stuff. right, and breaking off the foam definitely gives it like a nice rocky texture there. And I start to just kind of move this down as well, so that way it just kind of transitions off. And it's kind of tough to see from a top-down perspective rather than a, oh, I can always do that. Yeah, see, we're getting a couple different layers, but at the same time, especially here, we're pretty much moved on down, and we're going to do the same to this section right here. And then just kind of lose that bulk. And then we're going to work on my banana cave, as David Beck is calling it. Now it'll forever be known as the banana cave. I'll put a little like entrance sign, the banana cave under Castle Frankenstein. Yep, that's looking pretty good. I think, see, so now that this is beginning to meet up to our tower, it looks a lot more natural. This is still a little bit bulky over here, so I'm gonna take him down, slanting the styrofoam with my knife. And it would be nice to very carefully continue meeting up with this tower here. There we go, it's nice and thin there. Let's see if I can, yeah, see how this one is like nice and thin? It's gonna meet right up with that. And so I'm gonna lose, we still have a whole layer over here, so I'm gonna try and lose that layer, you know, or the layer on top of it, by continually just carving down at an angle like this. Kind of like a continual miter, if you will. And I'm gonna miter this way as well. So we're not really losing height, we're just kind of shaving on up to that same height. And that might already look pretty natural. I'm gonna move my my crap all over, because I do want to keep these little pieces, because I think they're going to help us out in the end. All right, why is this rocking? Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. I'm like, uh-oh, where did I go wrong? We all worked so hard to get this going. So I guess the idea is enough of Castle Frankenstein showing to our liking? And let's back up to kind of get a better view here, you know, or do we want more? See, I kind of like that look better. And I can probably lose a little bit more here. I'm just gonna, just to reveal Castle Frankenstein a little bit better. This is kind of scary doing this right on top of the castle. And I'm just gonna eyeball it and go like this. And if we lose material or oops it, I'm not too worried. All right. Yeah, so that's much nicer. That just forms a much nicer meetup. And what we're going to do is mimic a lot of these stones here onto here, so it kind of looks like it's becoming one with our cliff. And I don't know about you guys, this cliff is looking quite presentable. I had some of my qualms about doing this, you know, but thank God I had backup plans, and some of you guys came up with some good backup plan ideas, like paper mache, making a styrofoam smooth mound and then covering it with like dirt and things, or, you know, model dirt and rocks, you know, actual rock kits and things like that, that we could have done little trees. I actually went out and got like little trees, little bushes that we can put all up on here once it's painted. So I'm excited for that part. So the only thing that we're really missing and we're gonna have to connect up is this bridge here. And I'll show you guys. I kind of planned for this anyways, but this bridge here is kind of poking out. and the road starts over here. So there's a bit, like I would say it's about a 1/2 inch gap that I'm going to have to fill with just kind of stones going up to the road and, you know, doing it that way. But I think that's good. So I'm taking another look. The banana is still, this banana is bugging me. I just don't know what to, look, it's just like a seal coming out of the water. I don't know what the heck that is. This I know once we texture, the ice cream cone is going to look pretty good. This once we texture up to the castle will look good. Our cliffs here going up to our watchtower is looking really good. The other thing I have to do is lose this shininess right here. Our road is looking good. But this banana is like, it's really just working me. Oh, I have an idea. Maybe the banana, the cliff breaks over here. Maybe it just like completely breaks. And instead of a banana, let's make it like a S shape, you know, and the cliff, oh, that looks worse. That looks worse. So what if, oh, that's behind that. All right. What if I do something like this? Yep, I did it. I just did it, people. I'm going for it. Like this banana is just bugging me a bit here. And let's say there's a defect in the cliff there. And a couple cracks. And I think that's already beginning to look good. I also think that this needs to lose a ton of, oh, that's what it is. If I really get the bulk going, removed from there, that's gonna look a ton better, because this should really be covering all of this, and then this should all be gone. So I got my plan, I think. So yeah, this really needs to go. I think that's what was it all along. But I have a cool idea for here, for when we get into our final sculpting. All right. So we'll be able to move this even further down, which is great. That's smush it in even more. So I am liking that. And then this needs to smush more. So our banana shape here isn't looking as bad. I'm putting in some cliff cuts into it, and I think once we get into our final and we do that, our final carvings, like all the details and stuff, I'm just kind of roughing out some ideas. I think that's gonna look pretty good. And then this can kind of fade away. Whoops. All right, that's looking better. Yes. We're creating a couple different dimensions here, and I think that was our problem. Everything was still kind of just like the one level, you know, so we're trying to get into different levels of board, and I think that's really just going to help us out. There, now we don't really have a banana anymore. So this is going to go deep into the mountain here, allowing our Castle Frankenstein mountain to kind of take over. There we go. We're getting like a couple different rocks here. So our banana is finally broken up. Our castle banana stein is done. And I'm just going to transition this just a little bit better. And that's pretty good right there. I just wish we can get rid of more of this. Ooh, I almost took a whole layer off there. Calm down. Calm down, kitchen knife. All right. So that is looking darn good, people. Darn good. And I'm gonna, this looks a little too just straight, you know, and unnatural. So I'm gonna carve a formation here. So basically I'm just adding a lot more depth to this thing. Ooh. By bringing that other mountain right here down, just carving away at it and moving it down. The more you carve away, the more you place the mountain further back into the scene. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So we're not removing height, we're just removing the bulk and kind of curving the knife down towards the Bob Ross painting, if you will. And that'll start to give it, push that mountain into the back, as Bob Ross would say. And luckily we got a bunch of different little mountains, so no one is in danger of not having any friends. You know, you always need multiples, not just one. All right, guys, I went from totally being scared to from touching this thing, you know, and I was like making, you know, the first cuts kind of like this and, you know, there we go, to like really owning it now. Now we're just like slicing and dicing. I can either be an awesome butcher, you know, prep some awesome steaks, or a psycho serial killer, you know, like in the movie. So, but luckily I've been cutting more like this and not like this. So I'm gonna lean towards fine steak connoisseur, cutting up some fine steaks, because that's one of my favorite foods. Steak and taters. And veggies too. Veggies and salads and things. But nothing beats a good steak and potatoes. All right, I'm gonna cut kind of I don't like the way, oh no, not again, guys. It went to sleep on us. Let me turn it off. And we're stuck with this. But luckily we are pretty much done with our, you know, our rough cut of, you know, of our mountain range here. This turned out very, I'm trying to find the words, surprisingly good, right? Look at that. That's our little cave formation. I was able to cut up that banana mountain stein right there into something that makes sense. And that's kind of our rough. And then now we can go in and put the fine, jagged, rocky cliffs. And we'll do that together on the next stream, so we can prep to paint this thing. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So I don't know what you guys think. Turned out pretty good. And then when you combo it with our castle here, our castle Frankenstein, like that, I think we're in business. Look at how scary that looks. And imagine our EL wire hitting that tower. This thing needs roofs, but this is all like finishing touches things. So I will join you guys next time, and hopefully you will be joining me. And we're kind of rocking towards the end of this thing. So far it's turning out really well. and we only have a little bit more to go. So thanks for joining me. We had a blast, and thanks for all of your suggestions. Look at what we did together. This is not me, guys. I know that I'm the one doing the carving, but it's all of your ideas that you guys post on social media and on Discord that inspires me to do all this. So until next time, guys, have a great rest of the week. Bye.